Hey everybody, welcome back to another news roundup. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Like I said, it's just been a pretty busy week. Actually today I have some stuff going on, so just right now I'm getting some time to shoot this video. But hopefully next week things will be back in back in order, more consistent content in the future. But, we'll see. I mean, it's just the summer season. It's just, got plans basically. So, but we got another news roundup, and we got some interesting things to talk about for this week. So we're just going to cut this intro and let's just dive right on in. So let's get into the big story for this week. Of course, the Rust trial for Alec Baldwin has begun. And I'm going to detail what's been going on up until today, Friday, because they released the jurors out for the weekend due to something that happened, and we'll get into that in a second. But let's start before the trial began, because there was a pre-trial hearing, which is usual, where the judge actually ruled in Alec Baldwin's favor, in that Alec Baldwin's involvement as a producer, which I guess is kind of up in the air if he was a producer or not. I'm guessing he was, because how else is that film going to get off the ground? How else that film was going to get off the ground? They said any evidence to suggest that role of a producer would not be allowed into the courtroom for the jurors to view or consider. And the reason for it is that the judge couldn't see a correlation between his role as a producer and as the actor. He's also denied video evidence that shows Baldwin rushing and yelling at crew members, as it doesn't, in her view, doesn't correlate with Baldwin's negligence with the firearm. Okay. I mean, I don't understand. It displays his arrogant behavior and his disregard for the production itself. So it's like, I don't understand how you can think that that doesn't correlate to that thing, but whatever. But with all that in place, the trial is now strictly about Baldwin's involvement as the performer. So they can't just generally speaking, talk about Alec Baldwin's involvement in this production. It has to be strictly about him as the actor, which puts a little bit of pressure on the prosecution to prove his failures and responsibilities on set, because the defense can now just can simply just say that, their client's role doesn't require specific knowledge of the weaponry and such, even though any good person should understand and follow protocol laid out to them, even if the armor isn't doing their job correctly. You shouldn't just be flinging the gun around, requesting for more takes, blah, blah. And there's video proof of that from the armor's trial. So, so it's not like people are just making the shit up. There's video proof of that. So, then we get into the actual trial. And in their opening statements, something very interesting to bring up, in the opening statements that were provided, the defense actually admits to the possibility of Alec Baldwin pulling the trigger, because that's the big thing that's been going on up until this trial, which I think is just idiotic. And you really are stupid if you think that Alec Baldwin didn't pull the trigger. He held the damn weapon. What do you think? So it's like, anyways, the defense admits to the possibility of Alec Baldwin pulling the trigger, no shit, and being wrong, suggesting though that he is allowed to fire the weapon on set, which was laid out apparently on like a script or whatever, and which doesn't make him guilty. We'll get into how stupid that sounds in a second, but on Friday today, the defense actually filed once again another motion to have this case dismissed over evidence that they claim was withheld by the prosecution. So the judge then sent the jurors home, and he's now deliberating over the weekend. So, okay, so and that's what's happened so far with the trial. But first of all, correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as the evidence is submitted and approved by the judge, the prosecution doesn't have to run it by the defense. I mean, there are certain parameters, I would presume, that are made between the two parties, but like the defense doesn't like, you guys don't know everything the other person's going to say or present. It kind of defeats the whole point of winning an argument in court if you both know what the other is going to say. Like, I just don't understand that at all. Secondly, I don't see what the defense plans on gaining by requesting for another motion during the actual trial. Because remember, this is like what, the fifth or sixth time that they've requested for a motion to dismiss this case. Like, you know, and now we have opening statements. We've had cross examination already conducted, or at least cross examination has already begun. Like, it just makes their side look way more suspicious and not as legitimate. And the defense, I mean, they aren't necessarily presenting their case legitimately anyway. I mean, you're telling me that, because we all know that their case is bullshit. We've been talking about Alec Baldwin for a long time now, and we know that he's guilty. But but just viewing it from the defense, how they're presenting it, you're telling me that you admit that Baldwin fired the weapon. You said that in your opening statement, that you admit that there's a possibility that Baldwin fired that weapon. You admit that Baldwin fires the weapon, kills someone, and somehow isn't guilty. Wrap your head around that for a second. Like, they admit that. They admitted the fact that Baldwin fired the weapon, because that's a fact. That's not something that has to be proven in court. They apparently displayed that weapons aren't sentient, that they did that during cross-examination. Like, during this trial, I mean, they went through that. Like, I don't know why we had to prove that weapons can't fire themselves, but whatever, it's there. It's there now in the trial, okay? But, like, they're like, well, it said it in the script. It's like, well, just because the script tells them to do it, it never said in the script to point it dangerously at someone and kill them by accident. That's not what it said. So, their argument is very, very just lunacy. It's ludicrous. Anybody who has any brain cells can look at that argument and say, okay, you are really stretching in terms of just what Alec Baldwin isn't at fault for. Now, again, let's all understand this clearly. He did not intend on killing Helena Hutchins. We know that. That's why it's called involuntary manslaughter. That's what it's called. No one's saying that Baldwin killed anybody intentionally. Okay? What we're saying is to be accountable for what you literally did. You fired the weapon, you killed her. Okay? You didn't intend on killing her, but it's what happened, okay? And I understand that it's technically not his position to know what's in the chamber. That's why the armor's in jail. But again, the weapon isn't sentient. And anybody, it doesn't matter where you are on a film set or not, anybody who has a firearm in their hands, it's their responsibility to make sure that firearm is kept at a safe distance, is not being pointed at anybody. That's dangerous. That's just basic practices in handling a firearm. That's not that you don't even need consulting on that. That's just common knowledge. And Alec Baldwin was doing all that on set. There's video proof of that. So, like delaying this trial now while it's in effect doesn't do Baldwin any favors. I mean, he looks guilty by doing that. And I don't think the jurors are going to think, I mean, I don't know how legitimate the jurors are either, because I've heard the jurors are not all cleansed. Like, they're not, some of them are awares to the situation, some of them are not. That kind of presents a bias within the jury pool, don't you think? But I don't know. But I mean, anybody who is, smart and knows that Baldwin's guilty, obviously. But like, cause here, I'll put it to you like this: if I shoot someone by accident and they die, right, and they showed no aggression or violent intent, nothing to warrant shooting them, because shooting someone, that is, like there's something, there's a very, 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 very specific situation where that might qualify or that might be warranted. Even then, I have my issues with that. Like, that's the situation. I shoot someone by accident, they die, and they showed no aggression whatsoever. Who's at fault at that point? There's a dead body on the floor. Is it the weapon's fault? Do we gotta bring the weapon to court? Do we have to put the weapon in a tuxedo? Like, what do we gotta do with this? Because if you think it isn't me, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. And I think Baldwin, to some extent, knows this because, again, look at all these dismissals that have been taking place these past few weeks. This isn't the lawyers doing that, okay? I think his lawyers, I think even his lawyers understand. It's like, look, we really have no argument here. I mean, listen to their opening statement. They admitted to it. They admit to the fact that Baldwin potentially fired that weapon and killed someone. It's like they admitted to that. I mean, and again, their reasoning is just so vague and so thin. There's no through line to what they're trying to say. It's like, wait, so again, so you say that he's allowed to fire the weapon on set. In what capacity are we talking about? Are we just saying he could just fire the weapon whenever he wants to? Because that in that instance, they're not wrong because the whole set was doing that. They were firing weapons like outside the production, from what I was told or from what I was reading up on. Like, this wasn't the first time that weaponry was just being this isn't the first time they were being careless with the weaponry. This was a constant variable on set. So and that's okay. Just because everyone else is doing it, just because everyone's not following protocol, that makes it okay for Alec Baldwin to not follow protocol? That's what you're saying? That's your argument. Well, if no one else is following protocol, then why does Alec Baldwin have to follow protocol? Really, that's your argument. That's why he's not guilty? Because he didn't follow protocol? I'm just saying, it's like they don't have an argument here, and I think that they know it, and that's why they're requesting for another dismissal. And I think, like I said, I think that the prosecution doesn't have to run it by you guys. As long as the court approves it, as long as the judge is cool with that evidence being in, like, it's all. That's why you had a pre-trial hearing for all this stuff to be talked about and discussed. I don't think that, you know what I mean? I don't think that if the judge had an issue with that evidence being in the court, I think that he would have brought it up. But he didn't have an issue with it. So I don't know why he's having to deliberate over the weekend, but I don't know if it's just protocol or whatever, but yeah, we all know the truth. I mean, anybody who has been following this for the past few years, everyone knows the truth. I mean, Alec Baldwin's guilty. He is. And all the stuff he's doing right now in court is not doing him any favors. It's not. I still have a hard time believing that he's going to be found guilty. Even if he is literally found guilty, I doubt that there's going to be any like big repercussions, big consequences coming to him, because he's a rich man, he's powerful. I presume that he can, he's been pushing this trial himself for many, many months. So it's like, if he has jurisdiction on that, then I'm pretty sure he has a hand in this trial somewhere, But yeah, it does not look good for Baldwin. I'll just say that. It does not look good. And thankfully, it doesn't look good for Baldwin, because he is guilty. He didn't intend on killing her, but he killed her. That's what happened. So, if he looks guilty, that's because he is, if you were to ask me. So, but I'll keep covering this through the next week, or how long this trial is going to take place, and we'll see what unfolds. But so far, not a good start for the defense. Just not a good start at all. And I'm requesting for more dismissals just makes your case look worse, if you ask me. So. All right, well, moving on from that, let's get into some little news bits here and there that happened. Adding to the list of unnecessary remakes, Hollywood is looking to remake Sergio Leone's A Fistful of Dollars, which is considered a pillar in developing the modern Western and in shaping the subgenre of spaghetti Westerns. Now, A Fistful of Dollars is infamous for being an unofficial remake to Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo, which led to a famous lawsuit, to which Toho rightfully won, because, well, yeah, it's essentially the same movie, but in a different setting. But it looks like that Hollywood is going to be dipping their toes into Sergio Leone's classic Westerns and they're going to be remaking A Fistful of Dollars. So, um, yeah, completely unnecessary to remake an unofficial remake to an Akira Kurosawa film that pales in comparison to that very thing that it originally intended on remaking. Like, that was a mouthful, but essentially, it's there's no reason to do it at all. And this time around, I hope that they acknowledge that this is a remake to Yojimbo, because technically speaking, history could repeat itself if you don't acknowledge the original source. So, I mean, you could open yourself up to litigation if you don't credit Akira Kurosawa or Toho properly this time. So, be smart, guys. Be smart and give credit where credit is due, okay? Yes, you're remaking A Fistful of Dollars, but the original source is Yojimbo. So, make sure to, to cite your sources correctly. Otherwise, I could care less. I mean, I never was crazy about A Fistful of Dollars. I remember liking it, but it's essentially ripping on Yojimbo. I mean, and Yojimbo is just, I mean, it's Akira Kurosawa. It's amazing. It's where honestly the modern Western was born. I've done a whole video about Yojimbo. You guys can check it out. It really is the origin point to the mentality of the Western that we know of today. A Fistful of Dollars, in my opinion, is just a false prophet. I mean, it's fair for what it is, but again, sharing a lot of similarities and just basically using the book of Yojimbo, the layout, the blueprint. It's just it's a false god, and Yojimbo is the real god, not A Fistful of Dollars. But yeah, I mean, it's just so unnecessary. But then again, that's Hollywood nowadays. It's just making things that are highly unnecessary just to make money. So yeah, so that exists. So that exists. Speaking of making money and westerns, funny enough, let's talk about Horizon: An American Saga, Kevin Costner's latest film. The first part of a four-part film series, or they pitched a supposed four-part film series. So the first chapter came out, I forget when, the same weekend I think as A Quiet Place, day one, and it flopped hard. It flopped pretty hard on its opening weekend, essentially bombing. And the sequel, which was scheduled for August 16th, has been pulled off the schedule. According to Costner's production company and distribution partners, the reason to pull it off the schedule is not because the film is bombing and not making any money. It's because they want to give the original film more growing awareness before releasing the second entry. No word yet of when Horizon 2 will be released, even at theaters at this point. But more growing awareness translates to we cannot justify releasing another pending flop until the original proves in any capacity to have been a worthwhile investment, which it won't. If no one cared about it today, no one's going to care about it tomorrow. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see the release strategy for these films, because there's at least two more films that will be released, because they've already shot the next two films. I know that Horizon 2 is in the can, and they're already shooting Horizon 3, so it's like they're guaranteed. You're guaranteed at least a trilogy. But my guess is either this is going to be dumped on a dead month like January, to maybe give the films more traction and chances for profit. That is, if there's no competition in January, that is. Or more than likely, from what I've been reading, it might just be dumped on streaming on HBO Max, because it sounds like they're not confident in a theatrical run for this anymore. But either way, they're gonna get dumped. I mean, these are dead films. No one cared to see it. No one will care to see it now. And yeah, I mean, it's just it is what it is. It also just kind of goes to show you that studios like Warner Brothers, they can't afford to have flops like these exist or unfold in this current market. That is so it's it's it is what it is. I would say it's unfortunate, but it's just, you know, it, I expected this to flop, so not too surprised by the results. I'm a little surprised that it's pulled off the schedule though, because that's kind of a rare thing. But it illustrates that it's not doing good at all. So, and this is the thing that Kevin Costner left Yellowstone for. Yikes. So, so we'll see what happens. I mean, you are guaranteed a Horizon 2 and a Horizon 3. They are going to come out. I just wouldn't expect them in the theaters. That's my guess. So, all right, let's get into Redbox. Redbox is officially shutting down. Redbox, which is basically at this point the last legitimate movie rental service. I mean, we've had many rental services in the past. I mean, with Blockbuster and what have you, mom and pop shops. But generally across America, the last legitimate movie rental service is Redbox. I mean, you have like your little, like I said, your little mom and pop shops. You have that last Blockbuster that people talk about all the time. Um, like it's, there are remedies here and there, but legitimately the last one that had a wide, range was Redbox, and they are officially shutting down, with the company converting its bankruptcy case into a Chapter 7 liquidation, because the company was already in a large debt, apparently nearly $1 billion of debt, at least if I read it correctly. They filed for bankruptcy this year, March 31st to be precise, and with them converting their bankruptcy case into a liquidation, and also I'll be honest, I don't know what the hell that means. What it results into though is everybody out of work. Apparently, there were about 1,000 employees still working at Redbox, and they're now all out of work without any severance packages or extended benefits. They're just basically been dropped, dropped, and yeah. I mean, the company was on a decline for many years, obviously with streaming as its competitor. It generated its peak back in 2013 with something like $1 billion that year, um, but yeah, Redbox is officially dead, and wow, yeah. I mean, I used to do Redbox a few times when I was little, because it's novel, to go to a place to rent something and then to bring it back. It's kind of neat. But that era is officially over. I mean, it's not hyperbole to say that. It is officially the end of an era. The times of renting movies, taking them home for the weekend and bringing them back, especially when you go to Blockbuster, you put them through that little box, that little little mail slip. It's all over now. And I mean, it's very unfortunate for those employees. I mean, I sincerely hope that they all bounce back, and they have a right to sue if they want to. I mean, because you can't just drop employees without giving them some safeguards. You know, at least I don't think you can legally, but I don't know. But this was the inevitable outcome. I mean, just like I said, you have. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. You have a market now with streaming being the dominant factor, so rental services are just not as popular as streaming is now. You just can't compete with that current market. It's just the way of the future, but it's just crazy to think now that it's done. There'll be a few businesses that still carry rental services, mom and pop shops, and that last Blockbuster, like I mentioned, but yeah, man, it is done. Like, wow, it is done. That era is completely done. There's gonna be now a generation who have never even heard of renting a movie before. Like that whole idea is gonna be lost on a future generation. It's crazy. Yeah. Some people, I think, have taken issue with it, saying that, well, how does that affect the market or anything like that? I don't know, something like that. But it's been an inevitable future. We knew this. I mean, we know that streaming is the future, and it now is. So I enjoyed I enjoyed Redbox. I enjoyed, when I was young, I would sometimes hop over to Redbox and grab something. I mean, it's very convenient and hella cheap, but, streaming always wins for convenience. So, but yeah, but that era is now officially done. It is officially done. It's crazy. So. All right, we got one trailer to discuss for today. One trailer. I know that there was the Captain America trailer, but honestly, I don't care to talk about that. What I am interested to talk about, though, is the trailer for Gladiator 2. The first trailer came out, and yeah, this has an all-star cast. A notable cast. Paul Mescal. I know him for what's that film called? After Sun. Pedro Pascal, Denzel Washington, Connie Nelson, returning from the original film, and Joseph Keane, who most recently was in the new Quiet Place film. Being directed once again by Ridley Scott, who directed the original, and has a release date for November 22nd, 2024. Well, outside of the mark of interesting production design, I mean, that's usually the case with Ridley Scott, is that he usually has, brings it when it comes to aesthetics. My issues come from its expansive, behavior. I mean, it seems bigger, seems more exaggerative also. Like, there's rhinos and water in the Colosseum. And it also appears to be less focused than what I remember of the original. I don't remember liking the original too much. I don't recall really loving it. I think it was okay. But I remember it having this dual perspective, to which to some extent strengthened our central focus in Russell Crowe. That's essentially what was being attempted. I'm not crazy about that first film, but that's essentially what was being attempted. This is more or less about agendas, and it frankly is more scattershot to my taste. Likely to be very long in length. I mean, I'm guessing this is a 3-hour thing. And just not as interesting, or as uninteresting, I must say, as the original was, for me anyway. So it doesn't look that great. I know it's going to be dead on arrival. We know this. We talked about the budget ad nauseum. It's just, this is not going to do well. And it's already showed its hand too, honestly. Like, the trailer basically gave away the entire movie. So if you don't want to know what happens in Gladiator 2, I would stay away from this trailer. But yeah, it's not looking too great. Not really that interesting, but then again, the original wasn't that interesting to me either. So if there's anything consistent, it is my lack of interest in this series. So I've never understood the love for the original. And from what I've heard online, people are not really crazy about this trailer either. So, and with a budget of $300 million, having people not be interested in your film already doesn't bode well for how this film potentially is going to perform. So, yeah, this is going to bomb. We all know this. So, and it just doesn't look good, generally speaking. It doesn't look that great, I'll say. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you just for, tuning in. It's kind of a long video. My bad. Let me know your thoughts on all these topics in the comment section below. Your thoughts regarding Alec Baldwin's trial. I'll try to watch some footage. I'll try to watch some footage from the trial. I've been mainly reading up on articles and stuff like that. So I'll try to tune into the trial maybe next week when they come back. But we'll keep updating, keep talking about the trial in the next news roundup if any developments come up. Your thoughts on Gladiator 2, your thoughts on the rental service era just basically coming to an end. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video.